Good evening, everyone. As we begin this meeting, I'll ask everyone to please silence cell phones and other electronic devices and remind council that our procedure bylaw prescribes the use of electronic technology during council meetings. It is 6:30 p.m. I'll call this meeting to order. Welcome, everybody, and wish you all a happy new year. And with that, we acknowledge that we gather on the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Anishinaabe, now of Alderville. We honor their enduring relationship with this land and recognize the deep cultural and historical significance of their contributions to the community. As we move forward into a new year, we reaffirm our commitment to listening, learning, and working in partnership with Indigenous peoples. In our discussions on land use, environmental stewardship, and community development and budgeting, we pledge to respect Indigenous rights and perspectives. Together, let us strive for a future rooted in equity, sustainability, and reconciliation, where all voices are valued and our community thrives. I have a motion moved by Councillor Butwell, seconded by Councillor Wheeldon, that Council approve the January 12th, 2026 Council agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. Members of Council, have any declarations of pecuniary interest, and if so, please state the general nature thereof. There are none noted. Are there any announcements this evening? Go ahead, Councillor Wheeldon.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy New Year to everyone, and a reminder to folks south of the tracks that Christmas trees are being picked up this week.
Nicely done. Councillor McCausland.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to all. I just wanted to say that I went to the Southern Heart Community Christmas on Christmas Day at the Legion, and there was about 180 people there. So it was nice to see everybody out, and it was a great turnout, and hope to see more faces next year.
Very nice. Any other announcements? Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, Happy New Year. Once again, a shout out to our Public Works. I know there were a lot of staff in council who had a nice vacation, but many of our Public Works staff worked long hours over the holidays. So once again, my compliments to them. I did not go to the Christmas thing at the Legion, but I did stop in on New Year's Day and brought greetings from council to the Legion levy.
Very nice. Thank you for that. And last week we hosted our own 2 New Year's levy events. The first at Northumberland Fine Foods, which was attended to capacity and well received by those who came. And the second was Friday night skate. It was nice to see the families out, and it's nice to be able to continue to do this event for the families in the community. By the smiles on folks' faces and the rosy cheeks, it was appreciated by most and all, I assume. Anyone else? I have a motion moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that Council receive the December 15th, 2025 Council meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. Madam Clerk, are you aware of any citizens? Oh, sorry. Let me do this. We have no public meeting this evening. We have no delegations or presentations. Now, Madam Clerk, are you aware of any citizens' comments this evening? Thank you. That takes us right into staff reports. The first report is additional 2025 tax write-offs. Treasurer Creamer, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight, sir?
Through you, Mayor. This is just an add-on to the report that was presented at the last council meeting in December. The property owner who is covered under this report just barely missed the deadline for that report. So we thought we'd include it now instead of, we typically only bring it once a year, but we didn't want to wait a whole calendar year.
Thank you for that. I have a motion moved by Councillor McCausland, seconded by Councillor Wheeldon. The council approves the additional 2025 tax write-off report and authorizes staff to adjust the tax account as identified in this report. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. The next report is use of corporate resources for election purposes policy. Madam Deputy Clerk, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
Thank you. Nothing further at this time.
Thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that Council Council approve the use of corporate resource for election purposes policy. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. Brings us to the grants and aid report. I'll do my normal and then I think I'll just open the floor for discussion rather than reading the motion. So CAO, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight here?
No, Mr. Mayor, not at this time.
So members of council, we'll just set aside the official rules for a second and have a conversation about what you'd like to do with regard to grants and aid. Who would like to begin? Go ahead, Councillor Wheeldon.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, CAO, for this report. It is very helpful. And I have noticed that each of them is annotated with how well they apply to our strategic plan and values, as well as whether or not they are eligible under our current rules. So if we were just to take out the ones that are explicitly not eligible on the basis of going towards wages, that gives us more than enough off to fit within the budgeted amount. Am I reading that correctly?
CAO?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Wheeldon, I have not done the math, but I believe you are correct.
Yeah, I have done the math and it's over 40 something thousand and we're 34,000 over currently. So it gives us a little bit of breathing room, but I know that council likes to have a little bit more in reserve. So I'm sure we'll discuss more.
Thank you for that. And the analysis post report, Councillor Wheeldon. Anyone else? Do you want to just go through the list? We can do a yes or no, or a reduction, or whatever you want to do, or I guess you could increase it if you wanted to, but at the end of the day, we have to keep within the budgeted line item. So 2026 info. Brighton Lawn Bowling and Croquet Club, $1,000. Go ahead.
Are you following? I'm following the summary from the CAO. Are you following
I went to the one that Kelsey gave us, but let me go back into this one here. I got it. Okay. I'll start again. Are you ready? Alis, Kawarthas, Peterborough, Northumberland. They have applied for $20,000. Where is it? It's not on my list. I'm in the report. Yeah, that's where I am. Oh. All right. Is that what you want me to do, my friends? That's what I will do. Give me a second. Technically, alphabetically, Alice would be before. In the chart, Alzheimer's Society is way underneath everything, so. Okay, ready? Alzheimer's Society of Hastings, Prince Edward. Are we all on the same page now? Am I on the same page with you, more importantly? Requesting 2968. We're okay with that one? Alice. Councillor, no, he was just he was giving a thumbs up. Councillor Rowley.
Okay, so if I read this, 20% is like $4,000 is what you're saying, is what we could allot. I'm guessing my council friend, Mr. Wheeldon over there wants to add more, but I was at zero. So I will consider the $4,000, but not a nickel more.
Councillor Wheeldon.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillor Rowley. The thing that I appreciate most about this one is that it is the main thing that they want to do is leverage what we can give them to bring in other funding. And so it's our donation becomes sort of a force multiplier. But I do recognize that that if only 20% are intended for program delivery, and we're concerned about, hang on a sec, 20% is intended for program delivery, and this should be reviewed for compliance with the wage restrictions. So the other 80% is the amount that is not a wage restriction. I think so. So that's okay. But yeah, we should be consistent. If we're not going to allow for wage delivery, then we shouldn't allow for wage delivery for anything. But that said, I do appreciate that this initiative strongly supports Brighton's strategic priorities, and it is that force multiplier. So I support 80% of the ask.
16 grand. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Wright?
There we go. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think the whole point of not paying for wages, having in my previous life been married to an accountant, I understand that dollars can be shifted around. And whether or not we're handing money over, like if it's a job that's being created to implement a program that wouldn't exist without the person there, and that program benefits Brighton, I think we need to kind of keep that in mind and balance out the positives of that. I'm not sure why, like what the thinking was to negate wages at some point. Does anybody recall why that would be?
Yeah, I think the intent was for this to go to volunteer organizations that,
I see.
and so we didn't want to be paying for people creating jobs. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Right.
From someone who was once a volunteer and now is being paid for the same service because we've given them money.
Right.
Go ahead.
The other point is to not set up an organization that can't survive on its own without our funding in case we need to shift priorities. You know, if for some reason if we are carrying the organization because it's not otherwise sustainable, you know, generally with all granting institutions, they don't want you to be completely dependent on them. And so typically you'll get grant for capital assets, you'll get a grant for new program out of an existing established program. But typically grants don't cover the whole shebang. They don't cover the person's time, generally.
Councillor Butwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I suppose through you to anybody who might have the answer. We have hosted by Kawartha Conservation. Have they been swallowed up in any of these conservation amalgamations? Are we aware of that? So it doesn't happen for another year. So this could be a registered not-for-profit initiative that actually just disappears entirely.
Go under the umbrella of the new umbrella organization, conservation organization, whatever that ends up looking like. Go ahead, Councillor Wheeldon.
I've spoken a little bit with Joshua Nwazu, and he mentioned that this is also funded by the City of Kawartha Lakes, but that funding goes through Kawartha Conservation. And so it is a broader consortium of public funds trying to leverage the existing expertise of Kawartha Conservation and tie it in that way. But I don't think it's dependent on Kawartha Conservation. And that's why he's approaching municipalities rather than going to Lower Trent.
Again, through you, Mr. Mayor, since Councillor Wheeldon seems to know a little bit more about this, for those who are watching or listening at home, if you could, and this applies to me as well, could you kind of dumb it down for me? Because right now we are being asked to provide funding to an organization so that they can leverage that funding into obtaining more fund. It sounds a lot like there's a lot of administration at what are they actually going to do? So in the next 12 months, where are we going to see a boot on the earth or a shovel and the whatnot? What do they actually do?
So Alice is a much broader organization, operates across Canada, and a lot of what they do effectively is pay farmers to take care of the planet. So oftentimes environmentalists ask farmers who have a lot of land to take care of the natural assets on their property or to farm in more sustainable ways. And farmers often say, well, you're asking me to pay for through not farming this sensitive part of my land or through changing the way I do things. Oftentimes, the environmentally significant things that we want to ask farmers to do cost them a lot of money. And so Alice is an organization that raises funds from across the country and pays farmers to do those things rather than just doing advocacy campaigns to try and ask them or pressure them to do it. And so the role that Alice is playing as it expands into our area is this funding would go basically to try and establish the organization in our region, setting up the donor networks and things like that, building relationships with farmers in our area, so that they can build the trust and earn the trust that they need to operate these programs. Speaking with Joshua, he talked about how much trust is required in order to work with farmers in a world where there are so many different regulatory bodies that they don't necessarily trust. I know at Lower Trent, we often have rocky relationships with farmers, but then there's also environmentalist groups and advocacy groups that are putting pressure on them or even painting them as bad guys because of their farming practices, even though those are standard practices, those kinds of things. And so a lot of the work that Josh does is being a farmer himself and working through his networks to try and build that trust to be able to say, hey, we're going to identify some or maybe build some important ecological things on your property, and we're going to pay you to do it. And we're going to make sure that nobody else is going to come in and tell you, yeah, you can't farm here anymore or things like that. So it's a lot of programming, but ultimately that programming is oriented around finding ways to become a funnel for fundraised dollars from elsewhere to pay our farmers to care for the planet.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wheeldon. If I may follow up. So they're looking for money to become established in our region so that they can start approaching farmers in our region. So we are strictly actually then paying for staffing, it sounds like, because they need the staffing in place.
They do propose creating wetlands, pollinator strips,
And-
other things.
I understand,
And
yeah.
I think we would anticipate seeing something by the end of the year in order to even consider them for next year.
So they identify through whatever means portions of privately owned property that they want to modify or protect. How do they find those properties without going on them?
They talk to farmers.
So they just go door
I'm
to door.
sorry, Councillor Wheeldon, you need to use your microphone for everybody's sake.
I don't know all of their practices, but I think that it involves an extensive amount of networking within the agricultural community, and probably hosting information sessions or those kinds of things, but I don't know for sure. But we did get a presentation on this.
I understand that. I just think when we're talking about money that is part of what we collect in taxes and allocate towards community initiatives, when we get somebody new and unfamiliar, I just have a lot of questions about them. I don't think they're doing anything nefarious. I just don't know if I feel comfortable putting in an amount of money such as that when we don't really have a lot left over for the rest of the year. And it's meant for local community volunteer type stuff. Anyways, just had some questions because it is, when you look at when you hear their presentation, when you read their presentation, when you read the description, it's a lot of words, but what actually happens? That's where I was going with all that. The end.
Councillor McCausland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. I know, Councillor Wheeldon, you said that we had a presentation to council about this. I can't remember if Joshua, I think his name was, said that he had any discussion with farmers in our community that were interested in taking part of this, I guess, organization.
Not yet.
So that was a not yet. Go ahead, Councillor McCausland.
So then I guess my point would be, I don't feel comfortable allocating this much to an organization where we don't know if our farmers are actually going to want to be a part of it.
Anyone else? Councillor, Deputy Mayor Anderson?
I say no, I don't accept to it. And I think if they want to think about it for next year's little more interest in that, did you even had to, it might help better next year. Right now, just leave it the way it is. Nothing this year. Nothing.
Thank you for that. So let's go around the table and see whether it's a yes or a no or a different amount of money. And I'll start with Councillor McCausland.
For me, no, this year. I think it's great, but just not with us having the uncertainty of our farmers not being involved in the organization.
Thank you. Councillor Wheeldon.
I support 16,000.
Councillor Butwell.
I would support a token amount because I'm interested in it, but like Councillor McCausland, I don't know that we're going to see the uptake from our local farmers in this. I think they are very adept at what they're doing. They've been doing it a long time.
Throw a number out for me just for fun.
$1,000.
Councillor Wright.
I'm inclined to go with Councillor Wheeldon's number, 16,000. I think this is something that has real potential and benefit for the farming community, and they're not going to have any uptake unless they get the funding to get going.
Thank you. Councillor Rowley.
Well, as I said earlier, maybe I had the numbers wrong, but last time I was a 0, so it would compromise a little bit. But certainly not 16,000. Under 5, under 4.
Throw a number out for me. Give me a number. Just for fun.
1,000.
There you go. We got 2 for 1,000. If I understand, Deputy Mayor, you said not at all.
Sounds like we're at a number now.
Well-
I'll keep it at the 5 number.
I got 2 numbers.
What's that?
You got 2 numbers. I have 16,000 and I have 1,000.
16 or 1?
Yeah. So
Okay,
we've still got some,
Okay.
we've still got a row to hoe here.
I'm back to 1 then, sorry. 1.
You're going to agree with 1 as if that makes a majority. Okay. So I agree that this is probably a useful organization and to provide some advocacy for the farming community. I'm supportive of providing them with some money. I think $1,000 doesn't go very far in 2026, unfortunately. Not for the whole of Brighton and not for the farming community. You'd get a mailing for maybe one part of the north end, but you wouldn't get the whole thing done. Not if you included the cost of printing. So, but I think 16 is a bit rich, even still. So, I don't know what the number looks like though, because Hannah's number was 0. Yeah, she was tough. She was tough.
No, so having something created, printed, and mailed out to all of Brighton, including the urban areas, about $2,500. Maybe as an introductory mailing, we could do $2,500 or 5,000 because then they get a second piece. I'm not comfortable with 16,000 anywhere close to that. That's a huge ask from something that is unproven in our geographical area.
Councillor McCausland, you're out?
No.
You're out?
We have to debate this.
Could we live with $5,000? Yeah. 4? 4 would probably get them a couple of robust mailings to the farming community. You don't need to include urban Brighton because most of us don't have enough land to worry about putting a pollinator garden in or what have you, or pollinator strips or what have you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it doesn't take a lot of time, and I had every intention over the holidays to stop by and visit some of our farmers, and just with weather and the way things were, I did not get that done. I still do expect I spoke with the clerk and got a couple of copies of the presentation, and I'd hope to have gotten that done. And I'm still going to do that. And I think even with this group, they could probably do the same, knock on some doors and just see if there is any kind of initiative or if there are any farmers. As I said previously, I think the farmers that I know in the area, they are pretty focused on sustainability and how things are done. And we've dealt with that with not only Lower Trent, but I want to say with Ducks Unlimited, working with the Brighton Wildlife area up there. We've done the same thing with certain fields up there. So I think there is a focus on some of that. I don't know that this is the group that we really need right at this time.
Thank you. Those are the numbers that I'm hearing. So can we live with 4? Yeah. Throw your hands up in the air. 4 is good. 4 it is. We're moving on. Beacon Youth Center. I'll just read the bold for fun. The application meets policy requirements and is recommended for approval as submitted. That would be $7,500. Are we good with that? Brighton Baseball Association, same bullet. We're good with $5,000?
The first time that they've applied, the baseball group.
To the best of my recollection, yes. Big Brothers, Big Sisters, it's noted at the bottom that they're not eligible, that the Brighton Strategic Priorities, wage and staffing costs are not eligible. And this application was almost entirely for a paid mentor. Go ahead, Councillor Wheeldon.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been thinking about this one often. I was stunned at the presentation when they said that they're just not operating in Brighton this year because they could not get a single volunteer. As I've been saying in the last few months and will continue to say all year ad nauseum, volunteerism is down by almost half over the last decade. And I am learning through the Brighton Homelessness Task Force just how much we rely on volunteers in this community. So I am hopeful that we can kickstart some volunteerism in our community in the coming year or two. And hopefully we can do better for Big Brothers and Sisters than $20,000, and we can get them some volunteers.
Thank you for that. But we're saying ex-nay to this one, right? Okay. Brighton Children's Center, the application meets policy requirements, etc. $5,000. We're okay? Brighton Computer Club, the application meets policy requirements and is recommended for approval, $1,000. Yes? Garden Club meets policy requirements, $700. Brighton Lawn Bowling, the policy meets policy requirements, $1,000. Good. Brighton Marine Rescue, the application meets policy requirements and is recommended for approval, $20,000. Go ahead, Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. This 20,000 include the fee for dock space or anything? It seems to me, just because I didn't bring the rest of the report with us, was that all included in that?
CAO.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Rowley, I believe the dock space was just provided as as a donation. I don't know if they actually listed it, but I do believe that they included the loan forgiveness was the other portion.
So they still get a free dock over and above this. It's still not on.
If I recollect, I think the dock space is an approximate $3,000. If I think about it.
I don't think we have anyone in the room who could rattle that off the top of their head, but go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Rowley, I will double check. I believe there was a 3,000 and a 1,000, and I don't know if it was dock versus loan forgiveness, which was which, but let me take a look at the submission and we can come back around. Councillor Butwell has an answer.
That we'll circle back to this one. Fair enough. Brighton stockings and sorry, Councillor Butwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to the CAO, it is very likely $1,000 in the docking. 3,000 would be like incredibly big boat. For the docking?
Docking of the loan forgiveness.
275 plus 3,000. Yeah, so loan forgiveness plus a dock, so 3,000. No, 3,000 for the loan forgiveness. Okay.
And the dock was an in-kind consideration not included in the grant aid. Your microphone, sorry.
It does say boat slip costs within
The 16.
within the
And change.
20,000.
Okay. So all inclusive then. Loan forgiveness, docking fee plus whatever it is they want to use the other $16,000 for. Which is equipment, I think, mostly. I would note that our fire department is quite supportive of this organization as a partnering organization for rescue on the bay. We don't have the capability of doing so from a Brighton Fire and Rescue perspective. If you want to say anything, now's your chance. You're good. Thank you. Councillor Butwell.
Thank you. I believe in last year's budget deliberations, we asked the question of them how much they were seeking from other municipalities in their area that they service. I was not here for the presentations. Did anyone ask that this past year?
I don't think anyone did ask it, but go ahead, Councillor Rowley.
I don't know that they asked from municipalities, but I did ask the same thing. I think they get some kind of gas allowance from the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
So a minimal amount.
That's all they get from the Coast Guard, though.
Yeah, just for gas.
Yeah. And we don't receive a grant application from Quinny West's rescue unit or Picton's rescue unit, even though they all work together and, there's no borders on the water, right? No. So we're good with the 20 grand? Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just for confirmation, it does specifically say $3,000 in loan forgiveness and $1,275 for boat slip in kind.
Okay. Right, Brighton stocking and Santa sacks for seniors. The application meets policy requirements, etc. $5,000. We're good? Codering Community Association, the application meets policy requirements, $5,000. Okay. Codrington Farmers Market is asking for 31.5. The note is musician payments could be considered ineligible as they constitute wage or contracted services. How do we feel? Go ahead, Councillor Wheeldon.
Thank you, Mayor. I struggle with that framing in a few different ways. On the one hand, I will sometimes argue that artists are worth their wages and that we as a society tend to not value art and we should see art as valuable as work. So in that framing, it would be considered wages. On the other hand, anytime you're paying for art, unless you're just buying paint or something, we're not buying a musical instrument, but we do want music. I think that's worth supporting, whether you would consider it wages or not. So I do support this one, even though it would technically maybe be considered wages.
Go ahead, Councillor Rowley.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And I do too, under the umbrella that it is quite an enhancement for the Codrington Farmers Market on the weekend. It's a bit of a draw. So there again, as far as economics go for those who bring their wares every Sunday, I'm fully supportive.
Councillor Boutwell.
Completely understand how my colleagues feel about it. I kind of believe the same thing. And I think if we as a municipality were running it, that is something that we would support. I think it's a bit of a slippery slope, though, that we might be getting into if we are approving some and not others. So.
Go ahead.
Perhaps I can provide a different framing to ease that tension. At that amount, we're not looking at actually paying artists what they're worth. We're looking at honorariums, which is not the same as wages. If we were going to put on a concert, this would cover part of one concert. This is supposed to cover music for the year, I think, and maybe other things as well. So I don't think it's the same as paying wages in that respect.
Councillor Boutwell.
Thanks, Jeff. Question for Councillor Rowley. For the music in the park, are the musical acts compensated for that?
They are.
They are. Roughly, what would it cost for one musical?
Between
act for one night?
$300 and $1,000. I know this because I signed the checks.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
So we're talking about the difference between 2,400, which is what we approved last year, and 3,150 for this upcoming year. And we're getting.
Yeah.
Pay
Right,
extra insurance. to
right.
have
So it is really it's like a token fee. Okay.
We're good. Community care, the application meets policy requirements, $5,000. Any objections? Gift from the heart. Members of council. Councillor Rowley.
I struggled with this one as well. I know initially when they came here, we used to have, quite the visibility from this group over the years. And I can't say that we really see anything in Brighton. And I don't know those folks who benefit from this for sure. I don't know if we have. It seems that everything is now pretty well located between Trenton and Belleville, which for those maybe here who require their services, even maybe getting to Trenton or Belleville might be an issue. So I'm struggling with this one as to how much to give them, and I'm not sure in the presentation that we received if there was any number of clients that were serviced here locally. I don't remember.
Councillor Boutwell.
I too don't see them active in the community once they left. I know there's the trailer unit that was supposed to come through to Codrington or potentially down in town, and I've not noticed it. They do good work though. Those that they reach wherever they might be from, a huge benefit for little to no cost. So I most definitely support them as an organization and believe in the work that they're doing for essentially nothing. I believe they're at 1/3 of the dental fee guide. They've changed their model a little bit. But since they left Brighton, I don't see anything of them.
So where do we want to go? Deputy Mayor?
I say no to nothing for the future or for the past. If they want to come back next year and look at it again, because they did move some of it over to Loyalists or to Quinny West, and they moved it somewhere else. But I'd say we wouldn't have anybody there for now, maybe for next year.
Okay. So Ron's at 0. Go ahead, Councillor Wheeldon.
Thank you, Mayor. I haven't seen them around either, but the thing that I've learned about all of the services that we really do depend on is that we don't see most of them. I've learned about so many organizations I didn't know existed until the last couple months. So the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence, and I do know that they do good work. I had a lot of questions that weren't really answered at the presentation. Maybe I should have asked more of them in different ways, I guess. But I'd support 15. I don't know if I support 19.
Councillor Rowley?
I've got some ideas in my head, but I don't know if this is the place. I'm thinking because we don't know if there's a number of clients here in Brighton that would go. I would wonder if through a service group that we could work with a service group if we used to be able to do that here, specifically with the Lions Club, if there were families who required dental care or health care of sorts, that they would help out with that. And I don't know if we could run something like that through that, where we could maybe support a service group a little bit better with dollars to maybe get transportation for these people or something. I'm struggling with this one. I really am.
So the application included like 10,700 for equipment, about $8,400 for rent. And in 2024, they saw about 100 Brighton residents. Councillor Butwell.
In 2024.
Yes.
In
They wouldn't have had the 25 numbers to roll on.
No, we wouldn't have 25. So I have checked with our integrity commissioner. I can speak on Gift from the Heart now because they have been gone for more than a year. The Gift from the Heart does do great work. I would support the equipment purchase. I would not support rent support on that. When they were located in Brighton, they did not pay rent. And as soon as rent was requested, they left. So I don't support them getting rent support somewhere else. Yeah, that's what I have to say. I would absolutely support the equipment though.
I guess I get that. So the equipment's 10.7.
And strictly because they're in another municipality now.
Yeah. So do we want to go 10.7 or the number? I think
I'm
it's
comfortable with 10.
10.741 is
I'm
the.
comfortable with 10.741. Absolutely.
How does everyone else feel about that? Yes. 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 And 2 no's. So we're yes. 10.741. Home Rainbow Youth Center, the application meets policy requirements, $5,000. Good. Northumberland Humane Society, members of council. They don't meet the requirements, just FYI. Total requirements, do they? There's no bold lines saying they meet policy requirements, so
There was
I'm
no
just flailing in the wind here.
no comment either way.
CAO.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. I probably would have remembered this if I had this ready for you at the last meeting. Anything that was bolded, ultimately, there was no red flags. Everything within the application met the requirements, and that's why we indicated that. Anything that had no comment was generally because they weren't in the municipality. So there is a caveat in your policy that says you could look at, businesses or organizations that are outside of the municipality if it was serving municipal residents. And then the ones that had some other caveat that seemed to violate the policy is the notes that are there. So that's generally the ones that say nothing were because of the geographical area and not necessarily something like wages or something specific that was ruled out within the policy.
My understanding is we use them as a service provider as well
Yes.
in the municipality.
Yeah.
I think we just signed a contract with them.
We did.
Director Walsh. We use Northumberland Humane Society as a service provider in the municipality. Is that true? We just recently switched, I think.
To you, Mayor, that it is the intention, and I think you'll be seeing a staff report coming up next meeting. It's been bumped forward a little bit just to make room for other things, but the signing on the dotted line is yet to come. But that was the recommendation.
So it was a report that we saw.
Yes,
Come through.
correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
Twice. So they will be a service provider. So where do we want to go on this grant and aid?
This is over and above fee for service
Mhm.
is what they're looking for.
Councillor Wheeldon.
Just keeping in mind that they don't just serve the municipality, but they would also serve our residents. And so this is a way of us enhancing services for our residents while also enhancing services for us. Because we're going to be a primary customer for them, but also our residents are going to be. And so we're paying for services. Those services could be enhanced if we give a donation that will benefit all of our residents and us as a client as well.
Go ahead.
So again, like I'm a kindergartner, we have residents who will then be served by them.
Yeah.
But they are already served by them through us. So it's not like we're getting extra service there. And I mean, when I think of people calling the Humane Society, it's because they found an injured animal or something, and that 99% of the time goes east.
It's starting to feel like I'm being asked to donate to the policeman's ball. Councillor Wheeldon.
I mean, the other part of this is that they want money so that they can have an electric vehicle, which supports our sustainability goals. But ultimately, if I'm going to call the Humane Society because I have an injured animal on my hands, if they're able to show up faster because they got this grant from the municipality because they have another vehicle, that's a benefit to me as a private resident. If the municipality is going to call them because we have a new pet enforcement bylaw that requires a lot more service from them for us, then I want that as a councillor. And so I want that as a private resident and as a councillor. It's a twofer, in my opinion.
But if there's an animal on my property and I call the Northumberland Humane Society, are they not required to come help me out because they are a service provider of the municipality?
I don't know exactly how that works, but I imagine if I call the municipality and say, there's an unlicensed cat coming through my yard, and then Alan or Samantha calls the Humane Society, that'd be different than if I call the Humane Society, wouldn't it?
But can I not now call Pierce Animal Services or whoever we have directly? Or do I have to call the municipality if I have an issue with a dog roaming free? I know, you just go put on the Brighton residents. I have a dog roaming free and mysteriously it gets picked up. No, go ahead.
Director Mayor to Council, theoretically, you could hire anybody who's trained to go catch a dog for you. But normally these kinds of services don't break even overall, and it's hard to collect sometimes. So it is a public service. And so whether it's a person in the neighborhood calling or animal control, or the municipality is initiating a call, it's really essentially budgeted through the Brighton budget. And there are some revenues derived through tags or permits and that sort of thing to offset that service, but it's never 100%.
But who would I, if I had an issue today, I'm in the middle of going on the website just to see who would I call? Would I call bylaw enforcement or could I call Pierce Animal directly?
Like you could call Pierce Animal directly, but then they would respond knowing that they have an arrangement with Brighton.
Right. So they wouldn't bill me.
Correct.
They would bill the municipality.
Correct.
that's news, but I'm glad to hear that there's a process for that. I still support an electric vehicle to do that. And it's in our strategic plan. So why not continue to support our strategic plan?
Okay, friends, where do we want to go? Councillor Wright.
Electric or not electric, they, like any organization, need a reliable vehicle to come pick up the animal that we are requesting them to come get. Because we have a whole bunch of people in town who are seniors who are not likely going to want to deal with an animal in their own car. You want people who are qualified and know how to deal with animals to get them to the humane societies where they are taken care of properly.
Agreed. I'm not sure if you're arguing for or against this one, but
Four, like,
Because if
with
they're-
regards to if it's an electric vehicle or
if they're
not.
bidding as a service provider to the municipality, they bloody well better have a vehicle, electric or otherwise, to come to the municipality to provide the services that we're going to pay for. And why are we now contemplating an extra $5,000 when they're offering a fee for service to the municipality? I really don't, I really do feel like I'm not disparaging the police here, but it's like the policeman's ball, give us money for the policeman's ball. Well, what if I don't? Well, you don't want to know the answer to that one, do you? Right? Councillor Butwell, it's a 1930s reference. It would never happen today. Councillor Butwell.
I have actually purchased tickets to that kind of thing, but back in the city.
Yes, we would all purchase tickets to the policeman's ball.
I
but
would love to
first
go
we
to
would
the
first
policeman's
purchase tickets to the firefighter's ball.
Oh, put it in the budget for 2027. So absolutely, they need safe vehicles for their employees. They are their own standalone organization. It is up to them to budget for these things, not to come hat in hand to the municipality that they're already working for. It's not our job. That sounds harsh. It's not our job. It's their budget. If they need to increase fees on these contracts, then that's up to them to increase fees on. That's how business works.
And part and parcel of that would be when they bid for the contract, they note that they're using electric vehicles so that it aligns with our strategic plan, and they might get a bit of a boost in terms of the report that comes to council. We may consider, even if they're a little bit more expensive, using them because of that sustainability initiative. Councillor Rowley.
Thank you. Have we, you say Mr. Walsh, you say we have a contract almost ready to sign with the Humane Society? Do we know what the numbers are already? Can we hold off on this just to have a look at it later on? It's $5,000. I'm ready to say no, but I mean, is there something that if this really helps them out, like per animal or per rescue or per whatever it is they do, can we hold off until we see the contract that we have with them and then kind of bump it into that?
I'll get Director Walsh to answer the question.
Through Mayor to Council, in response to the question, the numbers were in the budget, and the contract with the Humane Society was around $20,000 plus a one-time capital cost of around 12 for an expansion of a building that was needed for the enhanced level of service. There wasn't a reference to electric vehicles in that ask of Brighton at that time. So this would represent an enhanced level of service if, and perhaps that's what they're asking because they hadn't got around to budgeting it. I'm just guessing there, but yeah, so I don't think this money would specifically assist only Brighton, but it might be the number they came up with on a per capita basis, but I can't confirm that.
Councillor Butwell.
They clearly know how to prepare a capital budget. That would have been the time to address the required additional capital purchase. The end.
Anything further on this one? Yes or no? Zero? Getting zero? You're saying yes. Because you think they can buy a car for $5,000. I wish they could. Anyone else? Where do you want to go? I've got 1 0 and 1 5. 0 over there. 0 0 0 it is. Thank you. Queenie saleability, if considered for approval, it should be noted that although not specifically identified, these funds could be used for wages. This is a $1,000 grant. Where do we want to go? Go ahead.
I recall too many years ago now, when I was a member of the Rotary Club, having Fletch come out and explain Queenie Saleability's programs and the way that they're operated. They are almost entirely volunteer, and it's a very small amount. I think technically some of it could be used for wages, but I think that's probably a stretch.
I think the benefit that it has for disabled adults, including Brighton residents who are disabled, for $1,000, I think this money goes is extremely far. So and they've never asked for more. I shouldn't say that. I think they started at 750 and it at one point bumped up to $1,000. We're okay. Go ahead.
I think we're all okay on this, but $1,000 wouldn't cover a couple of weeks of camp for one individual from Brighton. I think we more than, they're being very generous to us and only asking for
I agree.
$1,000.
Go ahead.
Right, and there again, in memory of Fletch, I mean, he was such an advocate for this. I mean, he would be striking us dead if we didn't do this. So I think we just, for $1,000, I want to keep my life, thanks.
$1,000 it is. Soho, Save Our Heritage Organization, 15 grand. The application meets policy requirements, etc. We're okay with that.
If I
You
could just
may,
speak on that for a
course.
second too. This is like 95% insurance money for them.
Yeah.
It's significant what they have to pay, and I think it was bumped up again this year. So I don't have the numbers right with me, but I'm thinking we're at like 14 and change for just for insurance to keep the doors open and the lights on.
I thought the number for this year was the other way around. I thought we were not covering the insurance by donating or by granting the 15 grand. I thought they were in the 16 range. Yeah, so we'll go entirely to insurance, which was really always the intent with Soho, is to help cover their insurance. So, yeah. Yeah. Scouts Canada First Brighton Quinte Group. Application is partially eligible. $1,000. Members of council. Go ahead.
I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that this is run out of Smithfield, and the leader is also a member of one of our committees. So very much as much as it is a regional thing, it's very much a Brighton Smithfield thing.
Anyone else? $1,000 okay for the scouts to keep operating? Yeah. Go ahead.
Quick question, is something like this, should something like this come out of our youth initiative fund?
Certainly could. Do you have a clue as to how much is in that fund? It's more than $1,000. I think it's in the 15 or 16 range. You'll get that. You're going to look it up now for us? Can you? Do you have that capability? Because if we could pull it from then and save the money in the grants and aid. Well, there you go. You're gonna have to hire Councillor Rowley for your finance department. She has the numbers right at her fingertips, Treasurer Creamer. Yeah. So what we want to do? Yeah. So where are we at? Sunny days. $20,000. The application meets policy requirements and is recommended for approval. Good? Good? Children's Safety Village, 20 grand. Any use of funds for wages or staffing costs would be prohibited. Members of council. So I did ask, have you applied to any other municipalities? And I didn't get outside of Belleville, and I believe the answer was, we're thinking about that. Or we're planning on it, or we're working on it, or something like that. But it wasn't even a definitive, yes, we're presenting to X tomorrow, not. So I found that kind of interesting too. And I'm not unsupportive of what they do. I think they do good work, but if Brightonians have trouble using the service, and even though they're invited to, I'm not sure that this is one we should be funding. Go ahead.
A significant portion of the funding was for transportation to it, but then I did ask if you're primarily working with school groups, don't they have transportation? And it sounds like they would be providing busing for the schools with the money that we're giving. So this is a backhanded subsidy to the school board.
Well, it'd be to the busing companies, because the school board wouldn't fund this kind of busing.
Oh, well then.
Usually the schools have to raise their own funds for busing. It's why when we do things like offer free space at the arena, only one of our schools gets to use it, because the others can't afford to bus their kids into town.
I see. Well, I mean, I think it's a good program to exist, and it's one of these things where if we don't support it, will it continue to exist if we need it? But I do still think 20,000 is significant, and I'd be more comfortable with 15.
Councillor Botwell?
Having been on parent council for many years, if we are going to essentially supply subsidized busing, I would rather we take that 20,000 and give it to our Smithfield and Brighton or Spring Valley schools to bus in for their free skate 1 day a month that they've never been able to take advantage of.
Well, they do. Spring Valley does it once a year, because they save all their pennies, and that's what they're able to do.
Is it even though once a year? I don't think my
It
kids
got
ever.
canceled last year because it was a snow day.
Oh, that was the first year.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's why I don't remember it.
It got canceled the year before because they couldn't find enough helmets for everybody.
Gotcha. So otherwise, not located in Brighton, large or there's no quantifiable number of how many Brighton children are benefiting from it. I believe the Children's Village is free as well, is it not?
Yeah.
It's just a huge ask for something that actually doesn't really meet our policy. So I would be happy with a token amount.
So in the application, 5,000 is for transportation, 5,000 is for operational expenses, and 10,000 is for a future village. So actual capital costs for a future village.
Where are they moving to? Brighton? Then I don't support this one. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I would think if they there again need a little bit of money, they come every year to Applefest. They bring some of the safety village to Applefest, then maybe they need to talk to Applefest. And I mean, my Applefest committee is going to shoot me on this one to say, well, like here, expense it, but we don't need to be doing this. If they come to Applefest and they need some money to get here, then maybe that's where they need to come.
Councillor McCausland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Did you say that was 5,000 allocated for transportation?
5 for transportation, 5 for operations, 10 for capital of a future village.
Then if we're looking at transportation, I would just do 5 if you want to give them some, because it is a good organization to have for kids and homeschooling, so that sort of thing too. But if we're not seeing a good significant of Brighton residents going to it, then what's the point?
Just to put it out there, because we won't know who's around the table next year when this conversation is happening. If we do 5,000 for transportation, I'm surely going to want to know how many Brighton kids got transported to the safety village before we consider any more money. Go ahead.
I assume it's a school bus they're using? A large school bus. As of 3 years ago, which was the last year that I was at the public school, was almost $400. So if one round trip is $400, it will only be able to make 15 trips. For
And that was
$5,000.
probably down to Presqu'île or somewhere fairly low.
Was actually that would be into Memorial Park for Remembrance Day. Was
So imagine not
Yeah.
having to go to Belleville because
right.
they charge by
They
kilometer.
charge by kilometer, that's right. So I don't think it's really gonna service that many. Yeah, anyways,
Five,
I'm feeling.
five grand might be 5 trips to Belleville, but it might not get anybody
Which-
home.
Well, it depends. If they're gonna go through the schools, then how are they gonna determine who gets to go and who doesn't? I just don't see how it's going to work, and I think it was probably a category that they said, let's allocate 25% to busing without understanding what that really looked like.
Sorry. CAO suggests it would be 10 bus trips. Oh, they're suggesting. You're not suggesting it. The Safety Village folks in their application are suggesting it would be 10 bus trips. Well, is it 10 bus trips? I'm just questioning 10 bus trips. I'm thinking it's 10 bus trips there and back. So that's actually 5 bus trips.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, their application states that the estimate is based on busing support. $5,000 covers about 10 bus trips at $500 per trip, with each bus carrying 40 to 50 students. It does not say whether that's one way or return.
Yeah. Well, to Councillor Butwell's point, $400 got folks from Spring Valley to the Memorial Park. And I know the last time Spring Valley went to Presqu'île for the outdoor ed thing that they do, it was almost $700. So now Presqu'île is significantly further. We don't think of it as that because it's here in the municipality, but it is a chunk to get down there. So Belleville is going to be a grand. Easy. Anyway, sorry. It's not, I shouldn't be auditing this, but here we are. This is definitely getting into the weeds.
We're left to have these conversations, right?
Yeah.
Because we
Yeah.
flesh it out and we use our collective knowledge, and that's why it's great that we're all from different backgrounds.
So where do we want to go? Suggestion's been 5, others have said 0. Councillor Wheeldon saying 5. So what 5 it is. And we'll see where it goes.
Well, I was going to make, I liked Councillor Butwell's comment earlier regarding transportation for our own kids to our own local facilities here, whether it be the splash pad or the arena or to this Battawa Ski Club or whatever like that. I would much rather that we take a chunk of, whether it's this money or some money or money that we already have in the youth initiative fund, that we look after stuff that goes on here, because I really don't see a whole lot going to the children's village.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. I understand the concept and the conversation you're having. But that's not really what's before us right now for this grants and aid discussion. We got 3 5s and a 0, and I think a 0 over here with the deputy mayor. Yeah. And 1, 2, 3 5s. Oh, you're a 0? No, I'm at 0. I'm at 0 for this one. Can we bring it as a notice of motion at another meeting? I hear what you're saying.
I'd like to make a motion on the floor. Oh. Let's practice.
Come get your sheet and write it yourself. Carry on. Take it from the Youth Initiative Fund, please.
Well, I don't know if there'll be enough from the youth. And the softer side. Sure, I'll leave it on. So I'm going to start with more than 5. So I'm going to make, I'm going to motion that this council, through its youth initiative fund, of which we seem to have money, Yeah, provide $5,000 for each of our rural schools to use for busing within the municipality. And that could be for the skating that they are allowed to have each month. There's 1 day per school. It could be for the memorial, our remembrance ceremonies, because 5,000 is not going to get the entire school, but they will be able to use that money. Perhaps a splash pad on a hot day
So you're going to drain the Youth Initiative Fund.
for our Brighton youth.
I understand what you're doing it for.
I could do it for, we can,
Just know that we haven't been funding that at all. So it goes to zero if that's the case.
then we need to then make a secondary motion on the floor to move some of that money over.
Yeah, that we could do. From grants and aid, you can push
Yeah.
money over there. Anyway, yeah.
So we can fund the youth initiatives. We'll use that and then we'll put the money back in. With this 20,000 we just turned down for the Canada Safety Village.
I think 5 is a little rich. That's all I'm going to say.
Then you can vote against it. I'm just gonna write. Okay, you guys can move on.
Let's do this the way we've been doing the others, in terms of let's have a conversation around
Okay.
what works for everybody. Since we haven't been putting motions on the floor for the other stuff, we've just been sort of ruling by consensus or by quasi-majority. What number do you think each school should get? And by the way, I think it should be all 3 elementary schools because it costs money to get the BPS kids down to places like Presqu'île.
Okay.
And there's a lot more of them. It's a massive population compared to the other 2 schools.
I just know that they're able to access
Yep.
the gating.
They can,
So,
and they can access the splash pad. They get
Yeah.
that fortunate opportunity,
the
but
tennis courts.
they can't get down to Presqu'île for those, and they can't get up to Goodrich Loomis for those outdoor ed.
So with
programs.
respect, you just increased it to 15,000, 5,000 per school.
I didn't, because we don't know what number per school we want to donate.
Okay.
In your microphone, please.
Sorry, yes. I was just gonna say, can we leave it open for all times? Just saying that we'll cover the cost, whatever it is. For busing, for busing in the municipality of Brighton.
All due respect, Chris from Cause Langton. Be paying for busing every week forever and ever. Amen. I think a finite amount is a good idea in terms of being financially responsible to the taxpayer, first of all. Go ahead, Councillor Wheeldon.
I would like to suggest that we request that parents maybe check a box if they would like their busing to be subsidized. I have no problem paying busing for my kids. I know not everybody is as blessed as I am right now. But it's relatively low cost for busing to go to Goodrich Loomis or something like that on an individual basis, but it does add up over the year. If people can check a box or fill out a form early in the year and say we'd like subsidized busing, that might make it go a lot further and not have people who are easily able to pay for it being subsidized by the taxpayer.
I know that in some schools they don't do that because it's an equity issue where they don't want to shame some families over other families, so they do their best to raise funds. Do their best to raise funds through the Parent Teacher Council in order to fund these busing programs. Go ahead, CAO.
Through you, Mr. Mayor to Council, if I could just request, as you're having these discussions, that if you allocate the funding, you have direction back to staff to come back with I don't necessarily want to call it a policy, but some kind of arrangement with the schools or the school board so that we're not making decisions here and putting staff in a position to not be able to fulfill the request of council, because we're just not sure how this is going to play out. So we know the intent, we'll know the dollar figures, but give staff an opportunity then to have those discussions and come back to council.
Ma'am, through you to the CAO, so we could do it as a donation through to the parent councils, because the parent councils are the ones who raise the money for the busing generally and pay for the busing for each classroom, and that can be done as a donation.
Go ahead.
For you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Butwell, if you'd like to do it as a donation, then that is great. If you want the accountability to ensure it's being used the way you intended or anything like that. I just want staff to have the flexibility to establish that. But if you just want to make a donation to the councils, that I'm all for it. That's okay too.
And rather than putting a specific dollar number down, pardon me, I just had a thought that perhaps we should send a letter to each of the school's parent councils asking what their needs are from a transportation perspective, and noting we have some funds in a youth initiative fund that we're willing to donate for student transportation purposes to special events, and see what comes back.
So I see a lot of people talking about the motion I haven't even read yet.
Yeah.
Keep it sweet, that council shall provide to each of its 3 public schools $5,000 to subsidize the cost for busing at the discretion of the head of school.
You'd be giving that money to the school administrator, the principal.
I think you have to give the money to the board and they filter it back to the school.
I think wouldn't we be better giving it parent council?
We would
And
be
they
better,
have more,
then we
they
can-
have more discretion than. Go ahead.
May I make a suggestion? I'm just kind of going through the numbers and I don't know, Mr. Creamer, if you're at the same place that I am. But so far, we've kind of saved 63,000 out of this budget if we include the 20,000 for the Children's Village. So could I maybe suggest that we take 20,000 and put it into the Youth Initiative Fund and then have each individual school apply for those dollars? That they just come out of that?
CAO?
Or is that even a bigger complication?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Rowley. I have no concerns with the moving of money as long as the treasurer is comfortable with that. Again, if we're asking them to come and apply, we need to have some guidelines in place. And I would much rather bring that back to council and ensure that staff have created the intent that council wishes before we just start arbitrarily going, right? Unless you want to establish the amount and have us go back and ask what they need. And then come back to council with that, so you can make a decision. However you'd like to work it, I'm okay. I just want to make sure that we're clear as to the intent and that we have a process in place so it's fair and transparent. That's all.
Thank you both. I'll note that Councillor Wheeldon left the chamber at 7:47. Councillor Rowley.
And I would think, should it be then that it doesn't come through, like, I mean, we're dealing with, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Now we're dealing with the grants and aid. But is this something that we should put into the Youth Initiative Fund and that those directives come out of that?
CAO.
Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Rowley. I think there are a lot of moving parts with your grants and aid and your youth initiative fund, as well as, the next one, how we're dealing with hospitals. And I think staff need to come back with a bigger picture on how you're going to deal with these requests in upcoming budgets. So we can certainly incorporate that youth initiative fund because I don't think that there's really been any real purpose for it. I think how you're going to handle the grants and aid, and if we separate, again, cemeteries is another one, there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to come back and have recommendations on how we manage those, and we'll incorporate the youth initiative fund as well.
Thank you both. The Youth Initiative Fund was always a council authority fund, and usually was a specific request coming to council. Last time we used it, I think, was for Councillor McCausland when she was a youth and went off to, well, she's younger than you. Me. When she went off to science fair overseas. I believe that was the last time we used it. So a few years ago. Caroline just found your thank you note, by the way, the other day, put it on my desk. So friends, are we still drafting a motion? Prefer not to read War and Peace, just so you know, out loud into a microphone.
There's a lot of scratches out and adding in stuff as you're moving. So I actually changed it so that council wishes to provide to each of its 3 public schools dollars to subsidize the cost for busing and other school initiatives to be paid out of the Youth Initiative Fund staff to report back to council.
Perfect. I like that. That's actually pretty clear. No, I like it. Mm-hmm. Mhm. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Butwell, seconded by Councillor Rowley, that council
Wishes to.
wishes to provide to each of its 3 public schools dollars to subsidize the costs for busing and other school initiatives to be paid out of the Youth Initiative Fund, staff to report back to council. Go ahead.
3, Mr. Mayor, actually to our treasurer. Would you like in that motion to have the money, because your intent is to take money out of the grants and aid budget to fund the Youth Initiative Fund at this point? So do you want that motion to include those dollars? So that we have a clear line as to where the money is coming from?
Would it not be wiser, sorry, to pass a motion with regard to the grants and aid and include that in that motion once we've finished these discussions?
I don't know.
I guess as long as there's a motion directing where the money comes and goes from, it doesn't matter which motion it
I
is.
think that's fair. I think
Yeah.
we should just put that it will be funded, we have through the Youth Initiative
Yep.
Fund, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Are you okay? Okay.
If I may,
You
so
may.
would you like a separate motion, asking that $20,000?
Well,
Um,
I think when we get through the whole grants and aid process, and I've written down Youth Initiative Fund on my notes, we should pass a motion saying who's getting the funds and who's not, and what funding levels they're at. Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we could also just leave it as is, and once staff comes back with a report, then allocate the money with the intent that it's going to be pulled from any buffer that we leave in the grants and aid.
Also fair. Any further discussion on this motion? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion is carried. Okay. Back we go. I have put Youth Initiative Fund on my list here, $20,000 to go from grants and aid to Youth Initiative Fund. We can have that conversation further. University Hospitals Kingston. The suggestion is that we consider removing this request from grants and aid program. This is just generally, you're going to move all the hospitals at some point, but we do need to decide whether Universal Kingston Hospital is getting funding. Their application was for 15, it was for 20. What did they get last year? They got 15, and we made that as a donation in memory to former Councillor Freitas. Members of council, where would you like to go with this one? The way around, I think. Go ahead.
I don't recall from their presentation this year if they had specific equipment they were asking for.
I don't think so. In fact, last year, my recollection is that it was for a redevelopment essentially of the hospital that they were saving for, and it looks like they pivoted on that entirely, but I'm not sure. Go ahead. CAO.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the project is to upgrade the second interventional radiology suite at Kingston Health Sciences, scheduled to begin in the new year.
Councillor Wright.
The hospital ones, I'm always inclined to give them their ask or very close to ask. Brightonians go to Kingston. There's certain programs there that are administered that we just can't get at either Trenton or Belleville. Or Coburg for that matter,
Campbellford.
from Campbellford.
So for me, the only concern is the slippery slope. Right now, we give to the 3 closest hospitals, Northumberland Hills and Campbellford through our county levy, Trent Memorial through our local levy. And Belleville does not yet ask for any. And so we're skipping that and going to Kingston. My worry is that, Lake Ridge will start and Peterborough Health Science will start and then how do we say no? When do we say no? I know we can say no anytime, but it just becomes that outreach. We lost a member of council last year at the Kingston hospitals, so I think it was an appropriate donation in that memory. And if we go down this road, I think we should agree to provide it in his memory again, if that's the wish of council. I know the numbers. I see the numbers too. And I think we've all had friends and family who've used the Kingston hospitals for various reasons. So I'm not, I get the need to be robustly funding them on the one hand. On the other hand, I'm also abundantly aware of whose responsibility that is, and it's not ours. It's not the municipal property taxpayer. So where would you like to go? Go ahead.
Yeah, the fact that most of the hospital traffic heading east from Brighton stops in Belleville before it even gets to Kingston. I would be much more inclined to be supportive of that Trent Memorial Belleville connection more so than Kingston. Not that they don't deserve it, just like every single other hospital in the province. It's a big ask again, and I would like to think that we could do something annually in memory of our colleague. But I'm not thinking in the 5s, I'm thinking in the 4s.
Anyone else?
My number would be under 10,000.
Councillor Wheeldon.
I could do 10.
10, 10, 10. And their ask was 20 this year? Okay. Go ahead.
I remember, were they not asking a few years ago for 12.5?
I think they started at that.
They started at 12.5, and it's now gone up. So I think I would be comfortable on an annual basis of doing just a flat 10. Don't ask for more, and always make it in Byron's memory.
Go ahead.
I think it sends a message as well that we're not going to, hand it over on a silver platter, that if we do this, I still think it's a significant amount of money. And there again, if they come back next year, if it comes back with 10, that's fine, but maybe they will kind of see where we're going now too.
Thank you all. Waterfront Regeneration Trust, $500. The application meets policy requirements. Are we okay? CAO, Mr. Treasurer, have we met the requirement to come in under the budget line, and we have extra dollars should there be future requests in 2026, even if we transfer $20,000 into the Youth Initiative Fund?
Through your worship, I would like to go through just to confirm my numbers, but what I have right now is we've reduced, we started out at $234,307. We've reduced by $79,498. Therefore, we're under budget by $48,362. And then a plan to contribute $20,000 to the Youth Initiative Fund.
So it brings our Youth Initiative Fund up by 20 and gives us an extra $28,000 in the grants and aid for future requests in 2026. I think that's okay. I'm comfortable with that. Everybody good? CAO, do you want a motion that details what we've done tonight? Or would you prefer to bring back a report to council telling us what we did tonight that we could then pass and give you direction then to proceed?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, specifically with regards to the money for busing, I think staff can come back with something so that we can just give you some parameters and you can be comfortable with the money allocated, knowing that, the intent is to take it. There's plenty there. I think we're good.
And for our information, and when someone does come in May, could we please get the final spreadsheet of what we've contributed to whom? so that we're not scratching our heads in a meeting in May. I wonder, how much money we have left and where the money went. Is that okay? Thank you. Appreciate that. And that doesn't have to be a staff report at council. You just fire that out to members by email. I would appreciate that. All right, friends, I have a motion moved by Councillor Wheeldon, seconded by Councillor McCausland, that council receive the grants and aids submission summary report for discussion and direction to staff on the allocation amounts for 2026. I think we can say instead of that, summary report and provide direction to staff, because I think we've done that. So Councillor Wheeldon and Councillor McCausland, I've scratched the word discussion and added the word provide, so that staff are aware that we're providing direction based on that discussion, which they've noted. Are you okay with that, Councillor Wheeldon? Councillor McCausland, thank you. Any further discussion on this motion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. That brings us to the CAO ongoing report and capital projects update. CAO, we've read this report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
No, Mr. Mayor, not at this time.
I have a motion moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Rowley, that council receive the CAO ongoing report and capital projects update. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. We have no notice of motion or motions. Brings us to unfinished business with this, which is with regard to the adoption of the 2026 budget. This year marks the first time Brighton has operated under the new strong mayor regulations and the corresponding budget powers and processes. Under this new legislative framework, the mayor's budget was presented on November 17th. Council members had 30 days to present motions to amend the budget. During that period, council passed one amendment on November 24th, put forward by Councillor Wheeldon, which read, add an allocation for implementing recommendations of the Brighton Homelessness Task Force of $50,000 funded through grant revenue. And this amendment supports public safety and community well-being. Under the strong mayor legislation, I had 10 days following the passing of an amendment to veto any amendments. I did not veto the noted amendment. The proposed amendment did not impact the presented budget nor the proposed municipal tax levy. In accordance with legislative requirements, the budget was deemed adopted on December 27th, 2025. I do want to note that the removal of automated speed enforcement from our toolkit had a significant impact on this year's financial planning. Had we been permitted to implement and keep ASE, we could have driven a real affordability for our taxpayers, delivering a 0% increase this year and even a reduction next. With the elimination of ASE by the province, and in order to continue to deliver the services and the level of service that Brighton residents have become accustomed to, the 2026 budget was ultimately adopted with a 4.9% municipal levy increase. With the County of Northumberland approving a 3.77% levy increase for 2026, the combined impact on the average property tax bill will be an increase of 4%. For context, a residential property assessed at $400,000 will see an approximate increase of $13.04 per month, or $156.51 annually. Thank you. That brings us to bylaws. The first bylaw is the interim tax levy 2026. It's moved by Councillor Wheeldon, seconded by Councillor Butwell. The council gives a bylaw its first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date, being a bylaw to provide for an interim tax levy for 2026 and to provide for the payment of taxes and to provide for penalty and interest. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Are there any opposed? That motion is carried. Next bylaw is with regard to temporary borrowing. It's moved by Councillor McCausland, seconded by Councillor Wheeldon. The council gives a bylaw its first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date, being a bylaw to authorize temporary borrowing from time to time to meet current expenditures during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2026. Is there any discussion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. We have no reports or minutes of advisory committees of council or review teams. That brings us to reports and minutes of statutory committees, boards, and external agencies. The first is Lower Trent Source Protection Authority and Board Meeting Minutes, November 13, 2026. Councillors Wheeldon and Wright, as our representative members, have you anything to comment on? Go ahead.
I think the main thing was getting the budget through. We did lose Gage Como, unfortunately. So that's a little bit of a blow. Gage did a lot. And things are still quite up in the air in terms of what the next year or so will look like with the merger. There's not really any new light to shed on that, unfortunately, but we know that we've got at least a year where we need to keep providing services and hope that we'll get more clarity about what the future will bring for Lower Trent moving forward. But I don't think anything is actually going to change until after the next election.
Thank you for that update.
I just want to clarify that we didn't lose Gage because of the budget.
No, understood. Gage made a decision. Yes. A decision that I think we might see more of as people become unsure about where their life will look like in the new combined regime. Any further discussion? Any discussion for members of council? Pardon me. All those in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. The next is the Lakelands Public Health Board meeting of December 17th, 2025. I'll note that we are represented on that board by members of County Council, Mayors Hankifsky and Logal, I believe. It's moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that Council receive the Lakelands Public Health Board meeting summary December 17th, 2025 as information. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. We have no correspondence, direction items, endorsements, communications, or petitions. There's nothing listed under FYI correspondence. That brings us to question period. Is there anyone in the gallery that has a question with anything that was on tonight's agenda? No one on Zoom for that purpose, Madam Deputy Clerk? I will read the motion to proceed into closed session, and then we will take a 10-minute recess. It's moved by Councillor McCausland, seconded by Councillor Wheeldon, that Council resolve into closed session January 12, 2026 at 8:07 p.m. pursuant to the Ontario Municipal Act RSO 2001 as amended, subsection 239(2)B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, review of applicants for the Applefest Steering Committee and Accessibility Advisory Committee. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. It is 8:08. We will reconvene at 8. Thank you, everyone. I have a motion moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Rowley, that council rise and report from closed session January 12th, 2026 at 8:24 PM. Discussion of matters pertaining to 2B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, review of applicants for the Applefest Steering Committee and the Accessibility Advisory Committee. Whereas a procedural motion to adopt the closed session minutes of October 14th, 2026 was voted on during the closed session. And further, council approved the confidential items presented in closed session. Now therefore be it resolved that council hereby approves the appointment of Christopher Palmer to the Applefest Committee and the appointment of Tiffany Liscombe to the Accessibility Advisory Committee as discussed in closed session held on January 12th, 2026. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. I have a motion moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that council gives a bylaw its first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Corporation of the Municipality of Brighton Council meeting held on January 12th, 2026. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion is carried. A motion moved by Councillor Butwell, seconded by Councillor Wheeldon, that the January 12th, 2026 council meeting adjourn at 8:26 PM. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. May we remain steadfast in our duty to serve with honesty, fairness, and compassion for the balance of this term of council, and may God save the King.